U.S. Supreme Court formally overturned the Roe v. Wade on Friday. This brings to an end the over 50-year constitutional protection of abortion rights in America. States will now be allowed to decide whether or not to ban abortions. We get more perspective on this ruling and abortion rights access in South Africa and throughout the continent. We're joined now by Laura Lopez Gonzalez. Laura, good to see you. Thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. Perhaps let's start here, right, by helping us understand the relationship between the continent and some NGOs that operate in this space that are based and funded by the U.S.
Right. So, as you know, abortion is protected in South Africa. I think it's important to preface this conversation by saying that just because we have that legal protection in South Africa, that has not translated to access for most of the people who can fall pregnant in the country. Last time I checked, less than 1 in 10 public health facilities provided safe access to safe abortion services. But what's really important about the Roe versus Wade ruling that was just overturned in the U.S. Is that it sort of impacts South Africa and the continent in one of two ways. The first is, as you mentioned, in terms of NGO funding, the U.S. is a major funder of HIV and reproductive health services on the continent. What happens now with Roe versus Wade really is that it doesn't change the legal framework here in South Africa or in other countries, many of whom on the continent are moving to open up access to safe abortion. But what it does is it really cements an increase in restrictions on foreign funding or development assistance that we're going to see, I think, in the future from Republican presidents. Since 1984, every U.S. Republican president has put in place something that's commonly known as the gag rule. It defunds organizations that provide safe abortion or even discuss abortion as an option with clients. So those are your Planned Parenthood, International Planned Parenthood Federation, your MSI Choices International, both of which operate in the region here. And what it does is those gag rules defund those organizations. Those organizations also provide basic healthcare services, HIV testing, contraception, cervical cancer screening. So what we know is that when the gag rule is in effect, we see an increase in HIV infections. We see an increase in child deaths, actually, according to new research. We see an increase in maternal deaths. So all of this really sets the stage for some very difficult and challenging times, not necessarily in the Biden administration, because he is a Democratic president, but as we move forward with possible Republican presidencies to come.
This has also sparked a conversation about the right to privacy for women who choose to terminate. Right, and so Roe versus Wade really sets the right to abortion because of the constitutional guarantee to the right to privacy. I think what's really interesting is that Roe versus Wade also provides the foundation for protection to same-sex relationships in the U.S., same-sex marriage, and contraception, and we know that the court will be most likely looking at those rights going forward. Obviously, I think it will embolden groups that look at opposing kind of that sort of those rights here in Africa that get U.S. money. But I think there is a growing concern within the U.S. about how women are protecting their privacy. So you're seeing people get off those period tracker apps. You're seeing groups start circulating what to say when you need to go to the pharmacy to get drugs that are used in abortion. You're seeing women talk and form networks to try to get women over state lines to access care. So really what we know from a large body of research around the world is that when you restrict access to safe abortion, you do not restrict access to abortion. Women find a way. But what this tends to happen is it tends to lead to high spike in maternal deaths, and those deaths are really felt among poor women and women of color. Laura Lopez Gonzalez, thank you very much for availing yourself this morning.